You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, sponsored by Essentia Health.
Here, our hobbies become our work, and our work becomes our passion. But when joint pain or injuries keep us from doing what we love, it can affect our entire way of life. That's why we meet these challenges head on. Whatever your good day looks like, we'll find it together. This is Essentia Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, like nowhere else. Visit essentiahealth.org.
Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat writer at the Duluth News Tribune and the Rink Live.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of UMD hockey on My Nine Sports.
Also joined by Emmy on the podcast this week. Child-friendly podcast. You may hear Jack driving above me as well at some point on this episode. Both Bulldog teams are now in the postseason, now that we got our background guests introduced here. Both Bulldog teams, they're now in the postseason. The men are hitting the road this week for an NCHC quarterfinal series at St. Cloud State. That's happening Friday through Sunday at the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center in St. Cloud. Meanwhile, an hour to the east, the Bulldogs women are back in the NCAA Tournament for a second consecutive season. They are the number 8 overall seed and will take on the number 9 overall seed Harvard at 6 p.m. on Thursday in a first-round game at Ritter Arena in Minneapolis. Hopefully you didn't delay on listening to this week's podcast. You're listening to it right away when it comes out on Thursday. The winner of Thursday's first-round game at Ritter moves on to play Minnesota, the number 2 overall seed, in an NCAA quarterfinal at 2 p.m. on Saturday in Minneapolis. To help us preview the NCAA Tournament, we're joined by a pair of Bulldogs sophomores. After 2 seasons, all they know is playing in the NCAA Tournament now. Welcome to the podcast, Nina Jobst-Smith. Hi, Nina.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having us.
And also back on the podcast is Clara Van Wieren. Hi, Clara.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
This is the second time we've had the two of you together on the podcast. It's like, I think it was Louis Rail and Nick Wolf on the men's side. We used to bring on a lot together. You two don't bicker like a married couple like the two of them do, at least not that I remember.
Ask the right questions, we can.
If we find the right topic, okay.
Yeah.
So what's it like for your class? I mentioned all you guys know is making 2 NCAA tournament appearances now in 2 seasons, and you're hoping this is a run where it's an every season type thing. What's it been like to make 2 national tournaments now in 2 seasons as Bulldogs?
It's been amazing being able to write history in a way and go 2 consecutive times in a row. It's just awesome. The culture that we have, you can't describe the feeling. I'm so proud to be a Bulldog every day.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's weird because everyone's like, oh, like 3 years ago during this time, like it wasn't the same, but yeah, this is all we know. So it's super exciting. And a lot of it like comes from a lot of hard work that the upperclassmen have done, so that too doesn't go unnoticed.
What did you learn a year ago in Erie about playing in the NCAA tournament that maybe you can apply now? And I know this is entirely different situations. It was an 8-team tournament last year. Now we got 11 teams. 11, that'll set Zach off at some point here that there's not a 12th team at this tournament. But it's an 11-team tournament. We're not all together in one place like we were in Erie. But is there anything you learned from last year's tournament that you could take into this year's?
Personally for me, like I'm really excited just to play freely, like without any reservations at all, with the mindset like this could be our last game. I think last year in Erie, I was super nervous. Like the nerves were a factor every time I got on the ice. And I think this time having the experience under my belt, it will be a lot easier to play like I usually do.
Yeah, I would just say, having been to the tournament last year, like Clara mentioned, it comes down to a game of nerves at that point. There are so many talented teams, and the team that's able to perform better under pressure is ultimately going to be the winning team. And knowing that our team went there last year, has been able to perform under that pressure, is just so reassuring.
A lot of coaches who have had their teams in a lot of NCAA tournaments will give us the line as you go into a game like Thursdays, that it's just another game, that you want to approach it like you do the season opener or a game in January. Is that true from a playing perspective, or when you step out on the ice, do you know it's a do or die situation, win or go home? This is the NCAA tournament, and if you could find 4 more wins, then you're going to be national champions. I mean, do you try to put that right in front of you and say, this is what we have, or do you try to put that in the back of your head and try to play it like it's your opener in September?
I would say some people would try putting it in front of them and using it as motivation, while others prefer to play more free and without the worry or the pressure of knowing that it could be, it is essentially a do or die game. Personally, I like to just keep it in the back of my mind, but I think I would go into any game the same way and try to play with the least amount of pressure that I can put myself in.
For me, it fires me up. Like, I love the pressure and like thinking about how like, oh, going as hard as you possibly can every shift. Like, it's so exciting. Yeah, I don't know. I like to think about it, but I know for sure like others do like that mindset where it's like any regular game. But yeah, it's weird because like it's hard coaching a group of people because certain people like certain things, but I prefer the pressure.
As the coaching staff or this group through the entire season, I think at the start of the season, none of us ask the question anymore, because at the start of the year, every team in the country is trying to win a national championship and has that end goal in mind. At UMD, it's probably a lot more realistic than it is at some other programs across the country. But is that set as a goal from the start with this group, knowing the talent you have in the locker room and saying this is where we expect to be and we expect to be competing for national championships? Or do you try to focus more on the process rather than the end goal throughout the year? Or is it a mixture of both? I mean, what's the right balance to strike with this year's group, do you think?
Yeah, we've definitely been talking about this tournament all season, getting ready for it all season, wanting to be back here. There's definitely obviously a focus on week by week opponents, but even from like the start of the year, this has been final goal type thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, starting in the fall, this is ultimately where we all wanted to see ourselves at the end of the season. And I think we do a good job, and our coaching staff and all of us team do a really good job of staying focused on the opponent we do play that weekend. So I think we enjoy the process as much as we look forward to the goal.
We had mentioned last year was an entirely new experience for this team in the NCAA tournament. It was an different experience for everyone. You're facing off against new opponents and a new building. This year, you get a familiar opponent in Harvard, who you already saw this year, in a rink you're very familiar with. You just played there last week. Like, do you guys have a preference at all? Are there advantages and disadvantages to either scenario, playing someone entirely new in an unfamiliar place, or, a familiar opponent in a familiar place?
I think it's definitely nice going in and playing a familiar opponent. Last year, when we went into our first game against Colgate, it was all very unfamiliar. We, as freshmen at least, had never played an East Coast team, and we were all basing it off of what others had told us. So there's definitely some reassurance in knowing that we've played this team before. We've gone through their systems. And I think it's great that we're able to play in Ritter, because that in a sense is a comfortable arena for us. And we've played quite a few games there, as you've mentioned.
Yeah, I think the only aspect that I really care about, or I think affects anything, is the fact that we have such a short bus ride to get there, which is so nice. Like, we're just leaving tomorrow morning and we'll be there right away. And then also the home court advantage, kind of like all of our fans will get to be there super easily. And I don't know if our band's coming or not, but fingers crossed that they come. But other than that, I don't really think it has any effect on anything.
So, Clara, I'm guessing you're a bus over a plane person. You'll take a bus trip over a plane trip.
Yeah. I'll tell people, like, even when we went to Harvard on the plane, like, I would rather bus the 23 hours personally.
That's peak Midwest right there, by the way. It's 23 hours. Just drive it. Nina, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm a bus person too. Flying gets exhausting, and I think it takes a bigger toll on your body than you realize.
Well, yeah, you're flying back and forth between Europe and such. So, all right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk a little more NCAA tournament after this. We're going to have more with Nina and Clara. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
I'm McHatton.
I'm Jess Myers, and we are the co-hosts of the Rink Live podcast. We really pride ourselves on finding some unique guests and covering some of the topics of the day, not only in college hockey, but kind of across a broad spectrum.
Yep, we also talk junior hockey. We'll get some of that talk in there as well. Women's hockey, men's hockey. We try to talk to people from throughout the game and actually from all over the country. That's been one of the great things on Zoom.
And Mick and I are kind of OG, the Rink Live guys. We were here from the start, about 3 years ago now when things got off the ground, but we brought a fair amount of college hockey experience to this job. I went to Minnesota Duluth. I covered college hockey starting then when I was a student. I've covered the Frozen Four 28 times, and I primarily cover the Minnesota Gophers now for the Rink Live, but dabble in a little bit of everything.
And I've covered St. Cloud State hockey. Now this will be my 12th season. So please check us out on the Rink Live podcast on Mondays.
Hey there, my name is Samantha Urkala, and I'm the host of the Duluth News Tribune Minute podcast. Hear the most important news of the day, including weather and sports, from Duluth, Minnesota, and from around the Northland. Join me and my fellow reporters as we take you through the local news you need to start your day. Episodes are released Monday through Friday and are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, joined by Zach Schneider, as well as Nina Jobst-Smith and Clara Van Wieren of the UMD women's hockey team. We're talking the NCAA Tournament, and I kind of want to get into some nuts and bolts of the team here. You guys have been without Maggie Flaherty now since the start of February. Nina, I want to start with you. What kind of impact has that had on the back end, not having a player like Maggie?
Yeah, Maggie is a huge part of our decor. You can obviously tell by watching any game. She's power play, PK, last minutes of the game. She's such a strong and reliable player. It's definitely been hard for our D crew, and a lot of us have kind of had to rise to the challenge of trying to fill the space that she left. And I can say personally, like, I miss her every day. She's a great leader, and I really look up to her. So it's definitely been hard.
Clara, on the front end with the forwards, Maggie's, usually she does a good job of getting pucks to the net and a big part of the offense. I'm wondering what kind of impact her absence has had up there for the offense, because it kind of seems like there's been a little correlation of goals are harder to come by without Maggie out there. And maybe that's just, the end of the season too, with how teams play defensively.
No, for sure. She generates so much offensive pressure that I think we didn't really realize before. She's an absolute weapon back there. Like, I think she's honestly one of the most underrated players in the entire NCAA. Like, she's unbelievable. And on power play too, we definitely miss her up there running. Obviously, Nina's doing a fabulous job on PP2, but we miss her up there for sure. She's the glue of the whole team, really. So we miss her on and off the ice.
The other aspect to that is that one of your captains, Kylie Hanley, moved back to play defense for a lot of this season and has moved back up since to the forward position. We won't ask you what the plan is for Thursday because we don't want to get the coaching staff mad at us. But how impressive has that been to both of you? I mean, Nina, to have somebody join your defensive core, you saw it. Well, I guess you played last year with Ashton after she made the switch, but she was a forward when she got to UMD and made the switch. Do either one of you think that if Coach Kroll came in tomorrow and said, hey, can you play the opposite position on Thursday, that you could do it? Or is that pretty impressive throughout the team? Because I think Kylie helped on the back end, and now she's making the switch back to her normal spot on the forward lines.
Yeah, no, it's been really impressive how Kylie's handled that transition. She's an amazing skater, and I think that helps her a lot in the transition. And it's also really nice to have an upperclassman back there with us, somebody who's played a lot of years. It's really impressive, and yeah, I commend her for being able to do that.
I agree. It's so impressive, and both the way that she's handled it, like just taking it with a smile, like super flexible. It's commendable for sure. And she's natural back there, and she's a natural forward and a natural D, which is so impressive. And then in terms of if either of us could do it, I think that we both could. Yeah. Nina's played forward before, and I know that she would just be buzzing as the F1. And I don't know how good of a backwards skater I am, but I think I could give it a go.
That's the right answer. I like the confident answer. So maybe we'll see you play D later in your career, Clara.
Oh, hopefully not. But if the opportunity arises.
If the opportunity arises, you better be my D partner.
Okay.
That'd be an offensive D pair there. Could you back her up enough, Nina, on the, as a defensive defenseman there to maybe cover any Clara's mistakes or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got her back. I've got her back.
Hey, I'd be backing up Nina. Nina would be flying up and down the ice. I'd be the stay-at-home D for her.
It's a good thing you guys have. This segues into my next question here. You got two really capable goaltenders right now, because it sounds like both of you are going to try and jump up in the play here and such, maybe if you're back on the blue line. But you got two really good starting goaltenders. You got Emma Soderberg, the Olympian, Jojo Chobak, who's I think would be in contention for WCHA Goalie of the Year. Had, this run she's been on, not started so late. Both her and Amanda Thiele of Ohio State, another goaltender who took over for Olympian, have had incredible runs in February and March. The goalie position, it's unique because only one can play. How would you describe the relationship between JoJo and Emma and how they've handled the shift here with JoJo taking over in the postseason?
I would say they're both very professional people, and I know they're great friends. So they're constantly learning from each other, and I know they support one another regardless of who's playing. So I think it's a great relationship between them, and they're both amazing goalies.
Yeah, it's similar to the Kylie situation when they're both just super flexible, take it with a smile, and are doing a great job cheering us on the bench, regardless if they're playing or not. So it's awesome to have them either on the bench with us, cheering us on, or in net, backing us up.
So much we see teams maybe take on the identity of their goaltender, right? Especially in the defensive zone because of the way that they play or the way that they communicate. Are Emma and JoJo similar? Are they different? Do you have to not play in a different style or different system, but do you have to be aware of who's playing, especially in the defensive zone? Does that change anything for you, or is it the same for the skaters no matter who's between the pipes?
I would say, like I mentioned, they're both amazing goalies. I don't play any differently, knowing that either or the other is in net. I would say Sodes is a bit more eager to come out and play the puck. So that's only one thing from the D end that you would notice. And other than that, they're both great.
Yeah, I don't notice it either. They're both awesome. So
we talked about Kylie, moving from forward to defenseman, and you got JoJo and Emma working together. JoJo gives the net back to Emma when she comes back from the Olympics. And then, JoJo takes over for Emma here. And no one seems to be batting an eye. It doesn't sound like there's any controversy in the locker room. Coach Kroll was talking today. We're recording this on Tuesday. She was talking about that relationship, how the two of them just, motivate and work together. Where does this unselfishness come from with this team here? That you have players star players, really good players that are willing to, basically put their egos and everything aside for what's best for the team.
I think we all just care about each other so much, and our end goal is winning a national championship. So we have a lot of trust in our coaches too, and whatever they think is best for the team. I think everybody puts their trust in the coaches, and we all buy into that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We're focused on the end goal, and I think a lot of us will put our own needs aside to accomplish that.
Did last year contribute to that? I mean, you guys were freshmen on a team that got to the Frozen Four, didn't get to the end goal of a national championship, but it was a team and a group that got a taste of it, right? That proved it could get to that level. And sometimes it feels like teams will tell us that they believe in themselves, but they don't know what they're getting into. And sometimes that helps, right? When you just kind of approach it and you don't really know the stage that you're on. But now everybody in that room, except for the freshmen this year, have a taste of what it's like to be in a Frozen Four and know that you are just a couple wins away from what you wanted last year. So has that fueled the fire and maybe fueled some of that unselfishness this year, knowing that if you can just sacrifice a little bit more, you might be able to accomplish the end goal this time around?
Yes, I think that taste has motivated us, and we want to be at the top. And I know that every single person in our locker room would sacrifice anything to be there. And I have no doubt that we're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And that also goes with like training in the off season. Like, I know all I thought about in the off season was like just one play that I could have made better that ended our run. So like that definitely put fuel on the fire every single day. And I think it did for a lot of people. So
I can think of a call one official could have made that could kept that run going a little longer last year. But we won't go there. We'll move on from. It's my snide remark as I was writing this week about special teams play. I remembered that one. The two of you looking, personally at each other, when you look back from last season to this season, from the NCAA tournament last year to now, where do you feel the two of you have individually grown the most as hockey players?
Personally, I think I've grown in the aspect of being able to handle pressure. Our coaches put a huge emphasis on all of our games. So it doesn't matter what team we're playing. I feel like there's pressure on our group every single weekend. If you're at the top, you want to stay at the top. If you're not where you want to be, you got to move up. So I think personally, like my game has definitely grown outside of what you see in the rink and my ability to handle that pressure and those nerves.
I agree with what Nina said. And also, I think my confidence has grown over this season. And I don't know, I always just really want the puck on my stick now. And I feel like last year I was more just looking to like make plays and I don't know, like always give it up kind of just with the nerves of like a big tournament. But now it's more of the mentality where I want to make a big impact and like try to do as well as I possibly can for my teammates. Not that it wasn't like that last year, but this year more, I feel like I have the ability to make a big impact.
I'm going to ask a question about the bracket, and I don't want you to give me the canned answer of it doesn't matter who we play. Even though I know that's what you are going to want to say. Do you like that Minnesota's in your regional? Do you like the fact and not looking past your first game, but if you win, you get Minnesota again, a team that just knocked you out of the WCHA postseason, a team that you've had such great games with, in the program's history and in your time here. Were you happy when you got sent to Minneapolis and you get the chance to play Minnesota again, to go to the Frozen Four?
I mean, yeah, you could say like we just got kicked out of the WCHA tournament by them, or you could say like we split the two series we had with them. I guess it's just like the way you look at it, and we choose to look at it like we've been even with them all year in terms of our series, and that's exciting. We know that we can beat them. We know what it takes, and we're even better than we were when we did beat them. So definitely exciting to know that you can beat the opponents that are down the road.
Yeah, I think we're looking for revenge. I think it's fuel to the fire, and if when we get past that first game, I know we'll be ready for them, and we're gonna have a chip on our shoulder when we do it.
Tough to look past the first game too when you got a couple two coaches who worked there, one who graduated from the opponent as well. Got to keep that record. I looked it up today. I believe 5-1. Maura Kroll and Laura Bellamy are against their former school. We're going to close this out with some quick hits here. I don't know if any of these are going to get the two of you arguing against each other. You already agreed that you'd be great D partners here. So
I was going to say that's the topic, because now they got to decide who's got which role. So we might have found the topic that they can bicker about until they're on the podcast again, and then we'll find out the real answers.
They both have more than a couple years of eligibility around at UMD here. So the quick hits to close it out. Which country had the best jerseys at the Olympics? This is a topic very passionate to Zach and I.
I liked the US's jerseys. In my opinion, they were my favorite.
I liked Canada's jerseys.
Which Canada jersey?
I could be completely making this up, but I thought that they had a sick black one.
Everyone disagrees. Zach and I we're learning very quickly that we were in the minority.
No one watches it from our perspective, though. Could you see the numbers, Clara? Be honest.
I'm looking up the jersey as we speak. I just want to make sure I'm right here. Canada black hockey jersey.
Eventually, we're going to have Ashton on to get her opinion, but she's having fun with her victory tour right now. Zach and I didn't like the black jerseys because we couldn't read anyone's numbers or tell who was who on the ice. Okay. Even in photos, when I'm trying to put them on our website and everything, I'm like digging around trying to double check.
You know what's a good comparison is your throwbacks this year with the gold numbers look awesome when you see you guys wearing them and you're standing still, or you're going to see them in the concourse. Hopefully the people who bought them wear them and come to the games. They look awesome. And Canada's jerseys, I think, fall under that category. But as soon as you guys started skating, it's a good thing I've called games that you've been in before, because I could not tell which number was which number. They blend in too closely.
Maybe if they had outlined the lettering on the back.
Yeah, not everybody thinks of the TV people when they design a jersey. So,
or Zach and I are getting old and need to get our eyes checked, and we just can't see anymore. Could be that too. We've had multiple votes for the U.S. The U.S. was not my top ones. I guess I like the classic ones. I was a Sweden blue. Sweden's blues they're always going to be my favorite up there. This is for Clara, but Nina, you can get it on this too. If you could sail anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, I would sail around Michigan.
I would probably go somewhere on the Mediterranean, but that would only be if Clara was captaining the boat. So I'm the passenger.
I'm changing my answer. We're taking Nina to you said Mediterranean?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
You're a game, but anywhere in the world and you want to go to Michigan?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of a silly answer. I'll change it. The backdrop of Mamma Mia, I would just sail around where he took her. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie, but when she caught the sailboat, I would sail to the island and then check out the island.
I do not get that reference. Sorry. I'm not a musical guy. But many Grey's Anatomy references have also been made on this podcast by the UMD women's hockey team, and those also just sail right over my head. So a lot of stuff sails over my head. The NCAA grants you a 6th season of eligibility, but you can only play that season at a school that is sponsoring women's hockey for the first time, like St. Thomas did this season. What is the new program you're helping found?
Michigan, University of Michigan.
Would this be, okay, this is a completely new program that has never had a hockey team?
Completely new program, correct.
University of Hawaii.
Hawaii, there we go.
That's a good answer.
That needs to be a conference. The Western Collegiate Hockey Association, they are in the West, so.
Right, expand it.
Michigan was a good answer for that one, Clara. Michigan should have a women's hockey team.
I might have been setting up Clara right there so we could put the state of Michigan on blast for its lack of women's college hockey over there. They need a D1 program somewhere at that state.
Totally.
Who has the best GIF on the team this season, or the intro video at Amsoil Arena?
I like Maggie's with Champ's head.
I really like Maggie's too. I also like Kleiner's.
Yeah, I think Maggie might, Zach, we haven't done an official tally, but Maggie's, she might have won this year. Kleiner's very popular with the children, I know.
Yep. I'm so annoyed with this because I thought of the idea of Maggie's green screen in the middle of the summer. I set it up with Jen Fabian, like I was emailing with her all summer. And then I get to campus and I'm telling people about it and they're like, that's what Maggie's doing. Like you didn't hear. And obviously she'll have the seniority over me, but now it's everybody's favorite. So I'm mad that she had the same idea.
Do you two already have planned out for next season or no? No? Okay.
So I know she won't want to, but can you two work to make sure that Ashton's includes her gold medal in some way, shape, or form?
That would be so cool.
Oh, I want Ashton on a horse.
That's fine as long as she's wearing her gold medal. She can
wearing a gold medal on a horse. I mean,
that would be cool.
Rogie opened the door for animals with the cat. Ashton should be allowed to bring in a horse. All right.
You're forgetting she has 2 gold medals. She has Worlds and the Olympics.
That's
she
right.
could wear both.
Well, yeah, that'd be even cooler. That'd even be more baller wearing 2 gold medals in there. All right, last one. You guys had a NCAA tournament selection. First year, the women's hockey got an NCAA tournament selection show. And everyone was excited about that. But I noticed as soon as it went online, there was this bickering on Twitter because some people couldn't watch it. It was the cord cutters versus the cable people. For the two of you, are you a cable TV or streaming person?
Streaming.
I would say streaming, but we currently have neither at our house at the moment. The only thing we do have is Netflix. So
That's streaming. Netflix is streaming.
yeah, yes. Yeah, I would say streaming for sure. Cuts out the ads as well.
What is your go-to stream? Nina, you just have the one Netflix. That's your go-to.
Yeah.
Clara, for you, what?
I prefer Netflix, but I definitely watch more on Hulu because I've watched everything on Netflix, I feel like.
And I'm a Disney Plus guy.
Oh, really?
It's got all my Star Wars and Marvel, and I have a toddler who watches Encanto on repeat. So there's that.
Yes. Disney Plus is really good.
All right, we're going to cap it there. Again, UMD women's hockey team, they're in the NCAA tournament playing 6 o'clock Thursday against Harvard in Minneapolis. And you might as well just pencil it in there. They'll take on the Gophers, hopefully at 2 o'clock on Saturday as well. Nina and Clara, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and previewing the tournament for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
NCAA tournament games, looks like those will be on Big Ten Plus this weekend if you have that online subscription, so check the games out there. Zach, where can we find the Bulldogs men's hockey team this weekend?
Good news for people in Duluth is that we'll be carrying the playoff games this weekend on My Nine Sports. So Friday, Saturday, hopefully not Sunday. Hopefully the Dogs are able to win back-to-back games, but the way these two teams have played, maybe just pencil in Sunday night as a viewing opportunity for UMD and St. Cloud State as well. You won't find me and Judd on the broadcast because of the setup they got there in St. Cloud. We are taking their broadcast team as well as the video. So as far as the home team broadcasters, our season is done, and we'll just carry on as fans and readers of Matt Wellens and his DNT articles. But it was a fun season for us, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the way.
And I want to give props to My Nine for carrying the entire WCHA final face-off in Duluth as well this weekend. That was great. Really great to see for women's hockey. Bulldog Insider podcast comes out every Thursday, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe and rate us. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit therinklive.com and DuluthNewsTribune.com. Thanks to our sponsor, Essentia Health, for their continued support of the Bulldog Insider podcast. We'll be back next week, and as long as the Bulldogs are playing hockey, this podcast will keep rolling. So you won't get Zach on TV, but he'll still be here on the podcast with me. So thanks, Zach, for doing this again with me, and thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week.